Hello, guys, and welcome to another spectacular, fantabulous episode of Level 3, the show that is ace. I'm Jamie. I live mostly in a world of Sony PlayStation, and PlayStation-related products. But this show would be proportionately less malignant if I wasn't joined each and every week by this man. He has athletic ability that is equal to or better than that of Ben Johnson. He has musical ability on par with Milli Vanilli and acting skills that rival those of Paris Hilton. He is, of course, the only person I know who scored a perfect on the rock band song by Timmy and the Lords of the Underworlds. I can only be talking about Jason. Jason, huge
geez.
week.
You're back in the not Ben Johnson and Milli Vanilli.
I know.
Jeepers, Lord only knows. It's been a big week.
Where does it come from? Yeah, big week.
Itagaki quit Tecmo, which was a massive move. This only happened like yesterday, so we're fairly fresh on this. He just up and said, "Nah, you can get."
Just
stuff.
called in and said,
"Yeah,
nah.
I'm suing you for $1.4 million as well. You can shove it." So that's big news.
Package.
Yeah, well, hopefully. I mean, you know, he might be a womanizer, but everyone deserves their $1.5 million. On the other front, you're reviewing Wii Fit.
Wii Fit. We got our hands on a Wii Fit, and as you can tell, it's obviously been working.
Yeah. I'm doing Haze, I believe, and
you are.
And also we have a.
So you've been taking some psychotropic substances today, which is a good thing.
Yeah, well, that makes me
we
Ben
encourage
Johnson.
that.
Makes me Ben Johnson.
Encourage that here on Level 3.
Yeah, and the last one is the Metal Gear Solid retrospective.
That's huge, isn't it? We couldn't actually pack that into one episode. There's going to be a number of parts to that.
So, 1 and 2, and this one's all about the 2D world before he went into Metal Gear Solid series.
Back in the days.
Those halcyon days of yore.
Oh, yeah, back when we had turn-based strategies. I mean, whatever happened.
Don't get him started. Haze review. Don't start on turn-based strategies because you won't shut up.
XCOM's being remade.
Haze review.
And it won't be turn-based.
Haze review.
That sucks.
Haze review.
Go to Jason's review. I'm angry. I'm not going to put up with this anymore.
All right, now a lot of games recently seem to be centred around PMCs, and that's private military corporations. You've had Army of Two with their private group that kills things. You've also had the upcoming Metal Gear Solid, who's going to, cover that very heavily. The other one is Haze. Now, Haze has probably received a little bit of a panning from the critics. I honestly don't think it's as bad as they do. So we'll get down to some stuff first, and then we'll cover just exactly what I think was okay about it. Now, you play the game as Shane Carpenter, probably the most annoying main character since Call of Juarez. Yes, little Billy in Call of Juarez gave me the shits, as does Shane Carpenter. And he starts off as a Mantel troop, dosed up on nectar, seeing the world in this stylized, like you don't see dead bodies. The nectar converts their senses, so they don't see dead bodies, they can't see blood, they can't see the people's pain. As soon as someone dies, they just disappear off their radar. Halfway through the game, something happens, and you start fighting for the other side. So you no longer have the nectar, and you can see the world for what it really is. People writhing around in pain, bleeding out, screaming. And the funny thing is seeing your once compatriots. Their faces, they just look like heroin addicts. It's like walking down a street in Croydon. They've just got pockmarks and just stuff everywhere. And they look like just real junkies. And it really makes a good point about the over medication and stuff like that. The problem is the execution is very flawed. Now, while some of the speeches they make, especially from the rebel leader and stuff like that, are very, what would be the word? I don't know, compelling. Some of the other stuff just drives you crazy. Like the two guys you fight with are real meatheads, and I understand they're going for that stereotype, but they were real meatheads. Like just couldn't even stand to be in the same room as them or in a cutscene with them meatheads. Plus the guys you actually fight with, they say the same crap over and over again. If I hear the terms, Shaw beats up out of pumping gas, I think I'm going to shoot someone, and which is lucky because I'm playing a shooting game. So I'm going to get down to some scores now and give you an idea of just what was good and bad about this game. Now, the visuals are very much, considering this is a PS3 exclusive, and exclusives normally mean that you're going to take your time to bring everything you can out of a system. I really hope this isn't everything they can get out of the PS3. I know it's not, but I mean, I understand the whole haze aspect. It really does look foggy. I think that might be part of the aesthetic they were going for. But this was in 720p, and I swear it probably looked the same as it would on a cathode ray tube. Just there's something very generic, jungle backgrounds. The faces are well animated. I'll give that much. The actual character models are fairly good. But everything else leaves a lot to be decided. And the way the cars look when they're driving, they just leave up this big puff of what looks like water. Everywhere they drive, it looks like they're just driving through water. There's a big puff of water coming out the back. And so the visuals on this one, I'm going to give them a 4 out of 10. Now the sound, as I say, the speeches and stuff are fine. Duval, who is one of the main characters in the game, I particularly like his. He was a real, like, alpha male, the evil incarnate of Brucey from GTA. I really liked him and the whole voice acting from that side of it. But then when you come to the actual guys who fight with you all the time, as I say, if I hear the word pumping gas again, there's just going to be issues. So the sound, for all the good that it does so much bad. I'm going to give the sound a 6 out of 10. Now the gameplay, this honestly wasn't as bad as people were saying that it was. The shooting might be a little bit generic, and Nectar might be a little bit of a, a gimmick. But realistically, there's worse games out there, and this is no worse than Turok was. A lot of people gave Turok 7.5s and 8s, and I don't know, it was no worse than Turok was. The guns were a fair bit more accurate, and the different powers that both sides of the fight had kind of made it unique. At the same time, though, the Nectar was pretty much, a gimmick when it comes down to it. So the gameplay, look, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. I honestly didn't mind it that much, and that's really saying something. But when you combine it all together, the package just leaves a lot to be desired. This is not a case, as I normally say, this is not a case where the whole is more than the sum of its parts. This was a game that was a great idea, let down terribly by the execution. Now, whether that was from Ubisoft pushing, or whether it was by Free Radical getting ahead of themselves and not doing it properly, I'm not sure. But there was a game here and it was going to be fantastic, but it just lost its way along the way. So I'm going to give the game all up a score of 6 out of 10. So I think it's time to go down to Croydon and check out them Haze Addicts.
And welcome back to Level 3. Welcome to Jamie's Close-Up. Jason has spent some time at film school, about 5 minutes, and now he's decided to make a documentary about Metal Gear. Check it out.
In 1986, a fresh-faced young man applied for a position at venerable Japanese developer Konami. His first forays into gaming development on Microsoft's proprietary MSX2 yielded average results, matching his lack of programming skill. However, in 1987, Konami took a chance on one of the young man's ideas, and that game would serve as the gateway to one of gaming's most respected franchises, spanning 20 years and several games on various machines. His name is Hideo Kojima, and Metal Gear would go on to provide a beacon for the power of gaming as a storytelling medium. 1987's Metal Gear was very different from most military games released around that time. Whereas most other shooters, like Contra, Commando, and various others, had the protagonist running almost endlessly at wave after wave of enemies, Metal Gear was a very different style of game. Instead of encouraging running and gunning, the game's protagonist, Snake, was encouraged to use stealth and remain out of enemy sights. Set in outer heaven and armed only with his fists and a packet of cigarettes, Snake had to procure weapons, access cards and equipment all on site while receiving orders and missions via an innovative radio interface from the mysterious Big Boss, with 3 other characters providing tactics and weapons. Metal Gear's stealth gameplay introduced a new style of action to the world, and the reactions of guards went most of the way to increase the tension that players felt. Guards' reactions after detecting Snake's presence were twofold. One exclamation point above a guard's head meant Snake could elude capture on another screen, while 2 meant that the player was forced to either remove all guards in the area or escape to another floor. Snake was also tasked with taking out helicopters, jet troopers and various bosses, all of which provided various challenges to overcome. The titular Metal Gear, a bipedal nuclear-capable tank, was under construction by Dr. Petrovich, a scientist who worked on the project in order to ensure his daughter's safety, who had been kidnapped by Snake's enemies along with Grey Fox, the soldier sent in prior to Snake's mission. The player fought Metal Gear, and upon destroying it, the base's self-destruct mechanism was activated. At this point, Big Boss made himself known as the antagonist, hoping the inexperienced Snake would fall into enemy hands early on and keep the US in the dark about the activities at Outer Heaven. After downing Big Boss, Snake had to escape the base before the explosion went off, something the cigarettes aided the player in doing. A port was made for the NES some months later, with various changes made, such as different settings, a change to the stealth mechanics, and the titular Metal Gear battle removed and replaced with a giant supercomputer. Kojima was less than impressed with the NES port, as it was riddled with poor translation and skewed dialogue, and as such it is not considered a canon work. After the glowing reviews the game received, with the inferior NES version proving particularly popular, Ultra Games were tasked with creating a sequel, something Kojima was not involved with. Snake's Revenge took Metal Gear's original stealth-based gameplay and simplified it, introducing side-scrolling areas and new characters, much to many fans' dismay. This game is also considered a non-canon work, and Kojima only found out about the project after talking to one of the game's developers on a train ride in Tokyo, soon after completing his science fiction game Snatcher. After that chance train encounter, Kojima went straight to work on the successor to his stealth masterpiece. In 1990, Metal Gear 2 saw Snake infiltrate Zanzibar land, a fictional Central Asian country. Having left Foxhound, Snake was enticed back from his hideaway in the wilds of Canada to recover Dr. Marv, who engineered a revolutionary algae that could change the nature of the energy industry. With Big Boss revealed as a traitor, support was provided by Roy Campbell, the new leader of Foxhound, with various other characters providing support. Due to the extra support characters, each person's face appeared on the screen next to their conversation, a trend that would be continued throughout the series. Also, the conversations options increased dramatically, with much of the story being told through this interface. The stealth gameplay in this game was made much harder, with guards given a cone of vision and the ability to turn their heads. Another alert phase was introduced, meaning that Snake's presence was still known by guards even after evading immediate capture. On top of this, guards could also change patterns and even pursue the player across screens. To combat this, Snake was given new evasion capabilities, like being able to crawl under fences, air ducts, and under beds. Boss battles were made even more prevalent in this iteration, with each one named after a pulp culture reference. Running Man, Predator, and Ultra Box, all referencing the British band, were among the boss characters Snake encountered, but these names were changed in later versions of the game. Black Ninja, one of those bosses, was in fact Schneider, one of Snake's radio contacts in the original game. Thought dead, he was drugged, tortured, and forced to join a top-secret NASA project, after which he changed sides and joined those he once opposed. The biggest betrayal, however, was committed by Grey Fox, Snake's former ally who had been communicating with him through his radio as Snake's #1 fan. Grey Fox piloted the new Metal Gear D against Snake, which Snake had to destroy. Upon destroying Metal Gear, Snake's supplies caught fire, forcing him to neutralise Grey Fox in hand-to-hand combat. Big Boss appeared once again, as his death in Outer Heaven had been exaggerated. Snake was forced to face his nemesis once more, again relying on his trusty cigarettes and lighter to fashion a clandestine flamethrower with the aid of an aerosol can. With Big Boss permanently destroyed, Snake passed the formula onto Foxhound contact Holly and disappeared into the wilderness once more. Next week we'll discuss Kojima's transition into 3D with Metal Gear Solid, a pivotal game for the original PlayStation and the continuation of Snake's gaming legacy.
In the not-too-distant future, warfare is the basis of the global economy. And technology has created a new kind of military.
We're moving out.
Where every move and every thought
You don't trust me?
of every soldier activated can be controlled.
I never thought it would be so easy. The system is mine!
Except for one.
Sounds like the perfect job for me.
Snake, I'm counting on you.
Terminate Liquid.
He's preparing to unleash his insurrection.
Die, Snake!
Your body is approaching its limit.
How long do I have?
When war becomes business.
America had better sleep soundly while she still can.
When armies are bought and sold.
The Patriots are trying to control the digital flow of information.
They've implemented a system that monitors every soldier engaged in combat action.
Who is left in control?
This is my final mission.
This summer.
Stop! Brother! It's been too long.
Evil is powerful.
Die!
is solid.
Here we go!
Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots.
Oh yeah, pump those guns, feel that burn, burn that flab. Things that you wouldn't normally associate with gaming, but Nintendo has stepped up and given us the Wii Fit. And that's the game that I'm looking at on your Nintendo Wii today. Maybe stepping on Jason's toes just a little. This is the board itself. This is what it's all about. This has been a huge seller so far for Nintendo, doing quite well. Interesting fact. When they released the Wii Fit board to us Westerners, it had to be reinforced to take more weight. It can take up to 150 kilos. The Asian one takes 20 kilos less or so. You know, pointless fact. So what you'll do is you'll step onto your Wii Fit board and it will do a body test. It'll tell you where your center of gravity is. And it'll do a body mass index. So it's basically telling you if you're fat or not. Yeah. And if you haven't made your me accurately enough, and you're a little chubbier than what you've made your Wii, they will actually make your Wii bigger, make your me bigger, just so he's a bit more realistic. Let's face it, who makes their me's realistic anyway? Now, there's a number of exercises there. There's things that covers areas such as muscle toning, balance, and aerobics. So for muscle toning, you do things like some yoga exercises, standing on one leg for a while, things like that. For balance activities, you'll do things like skiing or tilting your weight on the Wii Fit there to try and get a ball down a hole. Aerobics, you'll do things, you'll be stepping on and off the board. You also jog on the spot with the Wii Fit with the Wiimote in your pocket. The Wii Fit board would probably be a bit big for most pockets, but yeah, you just push your Wiimote in your pocket or you hold onto it and you jog on the spot, so you can jog faster or slower. It actually works better than I thought it would. So visually, this game is everything you'd expect from Nintendo. It's bright, it's colourful, the characters are nice and big, and you do get to exercise with your very own Miis. You'll see them around you, so it's always good to see friendly faces around you. So I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10 visually. And now the sound. The trainers speak very clearly, very well. The whole thing makes a lot of sense. The music is very standard Nintendo fare, so everything you'd expect. Once again, a 6.5 out of 10 for the sound. The gameplay, this was the big thing for me. I thought, is this going to be fun? Is it a party game? Is it something that you can have people over and have some fun with it? And the answer for me anyway is yes. If you stick to the simpler games there, you can actually have a lot of fun with it. Of course, you're not going to invite your friends around for a jog, or you're not going to have a party and say, everyone come around and get into the lotus position. Well, I guess that depends what kind of parties you have at your house. But look, if you stick to the simpler games, you've got your ski jumping and tightrope walking, there is some fun to be had there and everyone can do it. Look, the aerobics exercises feel like an old snowboarding game or a skating game. They did have them on the PS2. They had the big skateboards there with the weight sensors in them. And the gameplay is fun. So I'm going to give this one 7.5 out of 10 for the gameplay. Overall, this game has actually outsold GTA in some weeks of its release. And that is no mean feat. Sure, you can perhaps say that everyone who wants GTA has already got it, but to outsell that's pretty huge. But I think that, like many exercise devices before it, you're going to see many of these pop up on auction sites like eBay and Ozchen in the coming weeks. So maybe you can score one cheaper if you haven't got one already. Overall, Wii Fit from me is getting a 7 out of 10. Now, is it going to help you lose weight? Is it going to help you tone up? I really don't know. I guess use it every day, maintain a healthy diet, see if it works for you. When are they going to make a Wii Unfit? There you have Wii Fit. Wii Fit, which has been a huge seller and has pumped some serious dollars into Nintendo.
And this is an argument I've seen come up time and time again.
Yeah.
Nintendo claims that stuff like Wii Fit and Wii Sport is a gateway drug to hardcore gaming. Like, and I use that term, you know, so the parenting groups can piss off, but I mean it in the not in the literal sense.
You mean it's getting some new people that weren't buying games before, getting them hooked on the junk, so then they'll move on and buy more games.
The first taste is free. Yeah, and I honestly think it's the opposite. I think it's a victory for marketing because Nintendo make money from every console and every peripheral they sell. Right? If they sell a Wii Fit board, they make money off that. If they sell a Wii, they make money off that. So once they've sold that to you, they've made money out of you. They don't really need you anymore. And you know that's I think that's why a lot of the shovelware makes it. Whereas Microsoft and Sony kind of have to compete a bit harder for the hardcore gamers. They've got to take the market they have and ring them for all they can. Whereas Nintendo, because it's just such broad marketing base, they can just take a little bit from everyone.
Look, I think they're all looking at the casual gamer market as a good place to make some dollars because I mean you've got the Scene It game for the Xbox. They've obviously gone, all right, we'll grab some of the casual gamers and Sony's always gone for them. They had the Guitar Heroes and the SingStars and all that kind of
when
gear.
you think about it, they are especially in those instances, they are in the minority. There's more Gears of War style shooting games or you know PlayStation driving games or fighting games.
Of course there are. And I know you are not a fan of casual gamers.
It's not even that. I don't think they're having the impact that Nintendo's trying to tell us they are in the industry.
Yeah, I always think it's good they're pumping money in because just like in the film industry, you need your mainstream big blockbusters to create the dollars to allow filmmakers to do their other projects that are never going to be as good.
For every P.T. Anderson, you need a Michael Bay. Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, now that we've got that done, let's end the show.
Yes.
Big shout out to the guys at Nico's Fish and Chips. We saw your message. Thank you very much. It provided a lot of laughs. Impact from the forums. The guys at the forums. Happy birthday. Check out our forums. It's all on the website.
We will be at the Clayton Library soon.
Clayton Library on June 18th at 7 p.m. Call the library. Book it as soon as you can.
That's right.
Tune in, podcasts, lots of stuff. Look us up on iTunes.
Remember, guys, Level 3 is ace. And until next time, game on.